सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोह ग्राह ग्रासैक कर्मणे। So let's look at a couple of let us chant let's chant 4 verses 41 through 44. Number 41. You're still looking at, you have it? Yeah. Okay. Shushuptya bhane bhanam tu samadhavatmanonvayah व्यतिरेकस्त्वात्मभाने सुषुप्ति अनवभासनम यथा मुञ्जादि ईशेक एवमात्मा युक्त्या समुद्धृतः. Something is not right. Yatha munjadi shi kaiva. Yeah. Kaivam. Yatha munjadi shi kaivam. Atma yuktya samudhritaha. Sharirat Tritayardhiraihi param brahmaiva jayate. Paratmano revam yuktya sambhavitaikata. Tattvamasyaadivakyaiса भागत्यागेन लक्ष्यते. जगतो यदुपादानं माया मादाय तामसीं निमित्तं शुद्ध सत्त्वाताम् निमित्तं शुद्ध सत्त्वां ताम् उच्यते ब्रह्म तद्गिरा. So after a long time we are catching the thread of what we were learning. So I think one thing we should be clear about is that what will really deliver the goods to us, the success of our effort in finding total freedom in life, will consist of viveka. And viveka followed by atma vichara, thinking about it. thinking about it, and then an advanced form of Atma Vichara. All this will come later on. It is just an introduction for the time being. But we should see the sequence of, because if we don't know exactly what is involved, then we get confused and we give up. And in fact, on this topic of what is involved, we should know what has to happen, so that our Shraddha, our faith in the truth of the Shastra, etc., is well maintained, and in fact gets better and better. So for that to happen, we should know exactly what the process is, even though we haven't really quite traveled, but there should be a very clear path on where we are going. In my life, I find that is a done deal. You know, I'm not quite there yet, but I know where I'm going. I don't know how far it will be, but it will be not that far. This is very clear to me in my life. And so that's the point I think we should all get to. And here, Swami Maheswaranji gave a beautiful example. I think I mentioned this to one of the Saturday classes. And the more I think about it, this is a great example. And that example is stemming from this word dhira, and also the quality of a dhira called dhairyam. So we should see how this is, how it applies to in our life and so on. So just to finish this off, basically it says that just like not just like, but just as you do the viveka between the various roles that we play and the actor that plays the role, that's the viveka that has to be done. That's the distinguishing thing that we have to do. And in doing this viveka, then we need to be a dhiraha. This is the point that we should just put some attention to. How and why, in what manner, what is the meaning of dhira? Swamiji gave example, just a very beautiful one. He said, listen, look at this. He says, let's say there are two people who are traversing a very long road and full of obstacles and full of primarily characterized in this example of getting tired. And both are tired. Person number A and person number B both are tired. They're both going. And they are, they keep their enthusiasm going. In the very beginning it was easy, but then as they are traveling alone on this road and they don't know how long it is to go and so on and so forth, their enthusiasm flags a little bit. So very similarly is to ours the case that, we start the learning of Vedanta and at first it looks very good and it all seems to make sense and so on. And partially because in the beginning the introduction is such that we can get with it, we can understand it, we stay within it. But then as it becomes more complex in terms of its, your nuances of it and so on, and it starts to go over our head, and then then discouragement sets in. So this will be like a person who is saying enthusiastic in the beginning, but then as you're going, you lose your enthusiasm. Now there are two people. This is the point. Just look at this. A beautiful example. So one person knows exactly how much is left. Well, he has some ideas. He has got some. He was well told. He says, if you reach such and such village, from there it's really just 4 kilometers. Okay, and so he's reached that village. He knows that. And the other person doesn't know it. And he's tired. Both are tired. Both really need to take some rest. They're hungry and so on and so forth. But Swamiji says, look at this. The person who has reached the village that was indicated by somebody who gave them a guidance, he says, oh, 4 kilometers left, that's nothing. We'll be there in half hour. So let's keep going. His enthusiasm comes up very well. And he doesn't mind traveling another 4 kilometers. The other person has no idea. For some reason, either he doesn't know it, he doesn't believe it, or whatever reason is. He thinks that, you've been saying it's very close for the last half a day, and I'm tired, I'm not going any further. So I'm just going to rest. So here is the application in our life. The application is that, and this is so, pay attention to there is a sequence in these verses that Swami Vidyaranya is pointing out. Beautiful sequence. And so it will follow this verse where he mentions the word dhiraha. So yatha, on number 42, yatha munjadi ishaka evam, so yatha munjadi ishaka एवं आत्मा युक्त्या समुद्धृतः शरीर त्रितया धीरैः परम ब्रह्म एव जायते. So here several words are important, but just look at the total sense of it. So he says, first of all, we already knew this, that there is a munja grass, and so in terms of some pujas and so on, this munja grass is an important one, and in the middle of the munja grass is a very subtle thing that has to be pulled out without breaking it. So this means that there is some skill involved. Elsewhere I've seen some references to the same thing, where it says that the person who is doing this munja grass, I forget the name, Ishika, I think Ishika is Ishika is the core. Ishika is the core, it's extracted. So the person who is extracting the core has to put all the attention. You cannot be talking, you cannot be listening to music or anything. It should just be very, very close to it. And that's necessary because it is a subtle thing to do, difficult thing to do. Not impossible, but it just requires more skill. Similarly, our viveka and atma vichara, first of all, it has to be done alone. Each one of us, even though we are in a class together, there's sahana vavatu, sahanao bhunaktu, and so on. But in how you implement it, you've got to do it alone, with yourself, undeterred by any other distraction. So this is what it is, which is necessary. Okay? So in that sense, the parallel between the munja and the munjadi straw and taking the ishika and extracting the atma, so to speak, not really, but is also requires some quiet, uninterrupted, undistracted atma vichara. This is the thing, okay? So this is one thing. So the second thing is yuktya samudrita. So yuktya samudrita means that it is, you follow the logic. The logic. Logic means what? It means that Shastra is saying, listen, here are the fundamentals. The fundamentals are that Satyam never changes. And asatyam never stays still. This is the logic. This is one of the various logics. Another logic is satyam has no beginning. Ajaha is never born. And asatyam, mithya here, mithya, asatya, has a beginning and an end. And satyam has no beginning, no end. So you need to follow the logic of the Shastra. Because unless you do, your rules of your life within your Jagrat Avastha will follow. And we all follow that, you've got to be nice to people and you have to take care of health. All those are different logical things. But in terms of the looking at the path to your freedom, then yukti is very important. So the laws and the logic are very important. But guess what? They alone are not important. So there'll be a lot of discussion on this, so just follow the general logic. The logic by itself they will not carry you across to the freedom. Why? Because, and in fact this is the reason why even, for example, scientists who are supposed to be very logical, scientists are very logical. The most logical people in the world are scientists. And even compared to them, philosophers are not logical, because philosophers can be speculative. They'll say, what I think we should do it this way. This is why I've said that to you before, that my Guru Swami Dayanandji never used the word philosophy for describing. And I find some of the other Swamis, including Swami Tattvavedanandaji and so on, are loose with that. And I don't blame them, because they feel that it conveys the same thing. Swami Dayanandji, and I follow Swami Dayanandji's absolutely no philosophy. The Atma Vichara is not a philosophy, it is knowledge. There's a big difference between it. And so going back to logic, so logic by itself is dangerous, because the scientists are very logical. But all the acharyas point out so clearly, please see that the scientist's logic is fallible. Is fallible. Because it can be negated by another logic. Exactly that happened when Newtonian physics was completely negated by Einsteinian physics. Up to that, in fact, before that, Copernicus, everybody thought that the Earth is flat, and not we Hindus. We have known that but nobody asked us. They just believed it. The Earth is, because it looks flat, therefore it must be flat. And so the advent of the Copernicus knowledge was that no, that's false. So there is a logic with it which is fallible. Then Newton said, for every action there is a reaction, and he also said that the stage on which all these changes are taking place is solid. What is happening on the stage is not solid, but the stage is solid. Stage meaning what? Space, time. Einstein said BS. Time also changes, space also changes. The whole logic is gone. Similarly, we have scientists who says, we have found the ultimate particle. Then we found that no, there's no such thing as particle. And then there are other scientists who say, now that's coming a little closer to it, but still, that a particle can either be a wave at some time or a particular particle at some time. And we don't know which one is which. And what is predictable? This is closer to Maya. We have no idea. You cannot definitively say that. Anyway, going back to logic. Logic alone do not resort to. Then what should you resort to? You should resort to the knowledge provided by Ishvara himself in the form of Vedic knowledge. That is not logic. It is logical. It has to be explained through the mind, but it is knowledge that you have to pursue. Even if you are not sure about it, you have to pursue it. So to close the loop, going back to these two people that are going on this journey, beautiful comparison. Swamiji's example was excellent. That the person who has been told definitively that if you see this particular village, it's only 4 kilometers from there. He knows, it's just knowledge. And then he can argue with logic that the 4 kilometers, I think we are traveling, I think we're slowing down, most probably we'll get there in 45 minutes or something like that. That is logic. But the knowledge is that it's only 4 kilometers left. The other person doesn't know that. And because he doesn't know that, his mind is restless. He doesn't have the Shraddha because he's not backed by knowledge. So now, to close this long topic, I wasn't planning to spend this much time, but this is how it goes. The word dhira is very important because, in fact, if you look at the etymology of the word dhira, it has two completely separate components. One is the ability to grasp the knowledge, intelligence, receptivity. You're not going to discover Atma by yourself. We need help. It is not possible for us to suddenly say, aha, I found the Atma. It means I found the Atma. I am also false, and a false person is finding the real Atma. What is the logic for that? Not possible. So, but dhiraha means one. So this is what the rishis, when they were capable of receiving this vidya from Ishvara, then they grasped it. They said, yes, it makes sense, absolutely. So this is the one meaning of dhira. So in the example of this two people going on the road, this knowledge, because it's interesting, this person who is the wiser of the two, he's been told, listen, it's going to be tiring and so on, but I think I'll give you certain side marks. So look for it. If you go to this kind of a village, then you still have about half a day to go, approximately. If you go to this village, there's only 4 kilometers left. And he's been following it, and he thinks it's absolutely correct. He has complete shraddha. Now he has knowledge. 4 kilometers, yes, it's going to happen. The other person does not make the calculation. So the other meaning of dhira, the first meaning is knowledge. The second meaning is courage. Not courage to like face a lion or anything like that, but what is called utsaha, where you have enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. Just like, you're going the long journey sometimes with your kids in the car. And after a while, are we there yet? And then you say, yeah, it's coming. Then the kids start to get hungry and they say, are we there yet? Mom and Dad, what's going on? I don't want to go anymore. Just stop it. So the parents say, no, we know, it's coming. It's very close by. Within 15-20 minutes we'll be there. So they're also tired, but their tiredness is tinged with knowledge. So therefore, Swami Vidyaranya uses this word here. Dhira ehi param brahma eva jayate. He says the students need to be, should have dhairya. Dhairya meaning that they should know. They should know how long what is going to take. And they should therefore have the enthusiasm to carry on. Because this is not a trivial thing. Not a trivial thing. It can be trivial if we are ready for it, but unfortunately most of us are not ready. It takes a while for us to really become. And in the meantime, so it's interesting. I would say that the example of, that person who said, I'm not going any further, I'm just going to rest. And the person says, no, it's getting dark, and I think we'll be there in 45 minutes, I think before the sun sets. He says, no, I am not going there. So the example of that in our life is, what I would say, people who learn Vedanta, who follow Vedanta up to a point, and they look around and say, I'm not making as much progress. And then their family members, spouses and so on, they also help in the process. Yep, you're not making any progress. I don't see any difference in you. You are just getting angry just as you did before. I have no idea why you're spending so much time going to Vijay Kapoor's classes. Let's just go to Tahoe and so on and so forth and enjoy ourselves. At least we'll have something to show for it. Here you have nothing to show for it. That you also, you might find fault with the spouse and say, don't say things like that. Inside you say, you know what, he or she is right. I really am not making much progress. So then what do you do? What do you do? So, because we all have options in our life, what do we do with weekends? But what is so interesting, ever since I retired, when people say, have a nice weekend, that doesn't mean anything to me. Every day is a weekend. So, whatever it is, your options are to do something. And if you are a dhiraha, and you have 2 or 3 hours at your disposal, you will read something, meditate, you will follow questions, and so on. If you are not, the tantamount to stopping by this person, he says, I'm not going any further, is do something silly. Just watch a movie. Let's go to Netflix, and so on. So this is the definition of a dhiraha. And it all comes from, really you will see this. I can see in my life and the people around me that I interact with, I find I'm making progress. That means I'm getting closer. And I'm very interested in finding out how to get there sooner. And every time some advice is given, it seems right to me. That increases my enthusiasm. To a point, I am not trying to be enthusiastic. Very natural for me now. My biggest problem is how to make sure that I do my duties with others so that I don't abandon them completely. But as far as my job is concerned, it's very clear what I need to do. So the example of the stopping is getting distracted. That means that you are saying, I don't know. That means things are not clear to you. That's all. So anyway, this is a very long commentary on the word dhiraha. So now with that, we will follow this sequence. We are not done yet. The whole sequence is not finished yet. We'll use this sequence to go to the next verse, number 43. So I mean, you appreciate the skill and the thoughtfulness of these Mahatmas who write books like this. There is a lot behind the scenes. There is a reason for the sequence. that we don't catch. We just say, okay, this is number 242, 43. Para paratma evam yuktya sambhavita ekta. Okay, yeah, this is the meaning. What's the next one? It's not like that. Every word has a particular reason why it is there. So let's look at that. 43 says, para apara atmanoh evam yuktya sambhavita ekata tattvasyadi vakyaihi sa bhagatyagena lakshyate. Okay. So what it means is, let's look at the word meanings first. So evam, so I'm just looking at the individual word meaning. Evam, thus, para apara atmanoho, of you can say Brahman or Ishvara and Jiva. So Jiva Atma and Parabrahma and Paramatma. And we will go into the meanings of that in a minute. So evam para apara atmanoho ekata, the identity between these two is sambhavita yuktya. So sambhavita here would mean it is made possible. That will be a better translation. Let me see what Swamiji says in Hindi. Very interesting. Para apara atmano ki jo ekta yukti se he says sambhavita. What can I do? He's used the same word. But I think I know that the sambhavita means, well, perhaps you can even say made possible or made clear. Made clear. And is shown. It's okay too. Okay too. So here, so for example, look at this. So here it means that the identity between a room space and total space was shown by logic. Like we have been using it also, that really if you see room space and total space, they are really identical. From a standpoint of vyavahara, they may be different. Space has a vyavahara, but transactions, like for example when you go on a trip, you say, I don't have any space, I need a bigger suitcase. So there it's a different thing altogether. But otherwise, the essential identity between a room space and a total space is shown by logic. Shown by logic. So that's what it is meant. Para apara atmanoho evam yuktya sambhavita ekata. Okay? Now, the next step is given. Tattvamasyadi vakyaihi. So by sentences like that you are, bhagatyagena lakshyate. So now what is made possible by logic is now shown to be real in your life. Because if you see the logic of the room space and the total space being the same, everybody will say, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, good. But so what? What does that mean to me? How does it benefit me? So here it means, in this sequencing of the sequencing of this, it means Swami Vidyaranya is saying that what the Shruti is first showing you through logic is taking the next step of saying that this is not just idle logic, see it for yourself. See it for yourself. So here, this Mahavakya, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Ayam Brahma, etc., are the ones that really deliver the goods, ultimately. Not the general yukti. Yukti is supportive. It is supportive. But the actual delivery of the results comes from a teacher directly telling you that this is true. And what does it mean? This is what now they're going to take up the explanation of the that you are. So just one general introduction to this, and I'll go into more detail in a minute. But so what happens is that it is said in Shastra that it is not as though you don't know yourself. It's not true. Because you do. If you ask someone, are you conscious? And he'll say, yes, I'm conscious. Are you alive? Of course I'm alive. And so on and so forth. But it is a partial knowledge which is tinged with some error. How? So because I fundamentally look upon myself as a jivatma, meaning that I am a conscious human being with all its implications. What are the implications? That I am a conscious human being, that I am a conscious human being who was born at a particular time. And I can see the end at some time. And even when I am alive, I have problems. I am a limited being. This is what is called your self-assessment as a jivatma. Okay? The thing that I don't know, which is a completely different thing, that I am not a jivatma by nature, I am really Paramatma by nature. And what does that mean, Paramatma by nature? It means that yes, I am a conscious being. That part we don't change that. Don't change that. But you need to discard the fact through knowledge and through your own personal experience. You have to discard the fact that this conscious being that you are has no limitations. So you give up the limitation, but not the fundamental consciousness. Because you are conscious. You are Satyam. But you have surrounded yourself with an experiential understanding of yourself, which is wrong. So here, for instance, this is provided by this Mahavakya Tattvamasi. And how is it provided by the Mahavakya? We pretty much know this, but we should really understand this and follow this to its entirety. It does it by what is called Bhagatyaga Lakshana. This is what is being pointed out. So Swami Vidyaranya points out here, Tattvamasyadi Vakyaihi Sa. Sa means what? Ekata. So ekata, this is a feminine noun. So sa would be masculine, sa is a feminine. Ekatvam will be neuter. Ekata is feminine, all meaning the same. So he says, para apara atmanoho evam yuktya sambhavita ekata sa tattvasadi vakyaihi bhagatyagena lakshyate. So we'll go and we'll understand the word lakshana in a minute. But bhagatyagena means by the methodology of giving up a portion of your understanding, but not the entire understanding. Bhagatyaga, tyaga means to give up. To give up, to look beyond. Look beyond what? Only the portion. Bhagatyaga lakshane. You are somewhat right and you are somewhat wrong. You stay with what is right and you give up what is wrong. You are free. This is the indication. Now comes the word lakshana, lakshyate. So lakshyate means, and I think very nicely pointed out, it is shown or unfolded through an implied sense of the meaning. Not a direct sense of the meaning, but an implied sense of the meaning. So here, a lot of examples are given. But the classical example given is that you see a person who was a businessman in a city, and as a businessman he's wearing nice clothes, maybe pants and tie and so on, and he's got a chauffeur, he's clean shaven, and he's got an air about him because he owns a business and so on and so forth. Then a couple of years later, 2 or 3 years later, you see a sadhu sitting there somewhere in a different city altogether. It could be in Rishikesh. And this sadhu has got, he's wearing ochre clothes, he's got a long beard, and he hasn't shaved for, obviously he's got a long beard, and he's sort of shaggy looking. He's wearing chappals and so on and so forth, and his hair have now grown all around him and so on and so forth. And so your companion says, you know who this guy is? So you say, no. You remember that sage that we met in Calcutta the other day, 2 or 3 years ago when we were visiting? I said, yes, this is the same person. And you say, oh my God, I can't believe it. So now here's what happened. It has happened. This is what is called Bhagatyaga Lakshana. Bhagatyaga Lakshana means that the person you saw there is the same person here. So this is called Ekata. It's not as though there's a completely different person. It's the same person. In fact, this is exactly what happens in our life also. Because we have to really do through our own, when we say Atma Vichara, we have to do this. So in Dakshinamurti Stotram also, for example, he says, Balyadishu api jagradashitu tatha sarva suvasthasapi vyavritta sarvamatmanam, something like that. So there we have to say, we have to do this. My goodness, I used to be a youngster. In going to school, I was 7 years old. And now I am 70 plus. And, but I'm the same person. So which is truth. Which is the truth. Even if you were to say, forget about the Paramatma and so on and so forth, even as a Jivatma, you are the same person. But in ascertaining that I am the same person, and certainly going back to the example, when you say, oh my goodness, he's the same guy, he says, yep. Then you start looking and he says, oh my God, yes, you're right, same features and everything. So there, you keep the identity of the person in Calcutta and the one in Rishikesh, but you discard their different upadhis. He was wearing different clothes, he looked different, the way he was talking was different. Here he just has his eyes closed, he's just sitting there in samadhi. And it's the same person. This is what is called bhagatyaga lakshana. Now, there is another very important example given in this context, which more directly addresses the meaning of the words lakshana. Okay? So this is the example. These are all from very famous examples from the Shastra, which has been coming to us thousands of years. These are Sanatana Dharma. Nothing more. Some small changes can be given, like movies and this, that, or the other. But it is really the same thing all over. That example is that when you have a new moon, it is very difficult to see, because, and especially in, let's say you have dusk, so you still have a lot of sunlight, and it's not completely dark yet, and you just happen to see the moon, which is a sliver, and you see the beauty of it, and you tell someone, oh my God, look at this moon. He says, where? I don't see it. He says, there, right there, don't you see it over there? And he says, no, I don't. So they are saying, okay, you see that tree? Yes. Now look at the top left-hand side, you see the two branches? Yes. It is between the two branches. So, our acharyas say, what is the distance between the two branches? About 2 feet. Can the moon fit in between the two branches? No. But guess what? You discard the indicator and you look at what is intended. Of course it is not between the two branches, but it appears to be between the two branches. So you discard the upadhis and you look at, this is called lakshana. This is called lakshana. So lakshana so the lakshana also here means that you have to use some other methodology. But don't just follow, you cannot say, you're wrong. The moon cannot be between two branches. Speak the truth, Some person says. So this is called lakshana. So here, the two branches for us to really meditate on, to think about, is Ishvara and Jiva. And from there it says the Atma is is both, is see the Atma in, so there you cannot say in between them, not necessary to say that, but you say see the Atma which is in Paramatma, Ishvara, and see the Atma in you. So Tat here means the Ishvara, Parabrahma, and Tvam means you. And out of those two, do not just start saying, how can I be Ishvara? In fact, it's so funny. It's Swami, this is a known fact for Swami Dayanandji. In those days when he used to go to different places to talk and so on. So it's a real life case. So he was in Toronto airport. And so waiting for his flight and so on. So this Hare Krishna guy walks up to him and says, you are not Ishvara. Stop saying that. I have seen I've heard your lectures, and this is the blasphemous thing. Stop saying I am Ishvara and so on and so forth. You're not Ishvara. Fall on the feet of Krishna and join us, and then you will understand the truth of it and so on. The Swamiji was just sort of quiet and listening and so on and so forth. But he says this was a funny thing. So there, it's the ISKCON people. I don't follow exactly how they do it or something. But it is just saying this is what is called Krama Mukti, not Sadhya Mukti. You cannot just understand it right here. You have to slowly follow the teachings of Krishna and then go to Goloka, and then we will see what happens to you. This is what is called Samipyam, nearness to God. They have their own funny notions and so on. So this comes from not understanding the Lakshana. That so the Atma is the same as the Tat as it is in the Tvam. And you have to see that it is not just start thinking, okay, how can I be Ishvara? Ishvara is much more powerful. He is the very Jagat Karta and so on. And I am just a small person. No. You have to see the Lakshana of how the two can be equal. And what you use there is Bhagatyaga Lakshana. And so there you find that the Ishvaratvam is an upadhi, Jivatvam is an upadhi, and Atma is upahita, means that this is where both the upadhis reside. So this I have to continue to look at. After I have gotten through all the logic and so on, its backgrounds have been built, what I have to now pursue, and a lot of that has to be done in the class, but then the clarity of that will come from your own thinking, that this is in fact the case. And it is this knowledge which is the hallmark of a dhiraha. That is, I want to really get to that point, and I want it now. I want to really use my life to do this. So at this point here, let's see if Swamiji made some other points that I didn't write down. So he says, so he just makes a point here that what is made possible by logic, he says in Hindi, युक्ति से संभावित बात प्रमाण के सिद्ध हो जाने से पक्की हो जाती है. So he says that what was made possible by logic is made very, very firm and clear. Sakshat aparokshat Brahma. made very clear. By the emphatic statement of the Shruti. And so this will have to be seen. So for example, just look at this way. Let's pause for a minute. Our conclusion is that I don't know where Ishvara is. I don't know where he is. I have no idea. I'm just trying to learn and lead my life. Where Ishvara, where Paramatma is, and so on, I have no idea. Okay, and we can color it by saying. So implicit in this saying, I don't know where Ishvara is the assumption that whatever the Ishvara you are talking about is not here. I'm only seeing people sitting there, talking to each other and so on in Milpitas. I don't see any Ishvara around here. So this is the conclusion that we have. So here there's a very important thing which comes in Mandukya also, and also in other places also, where the words ayam is used. Ayam means this. The word this cannot be used unless it is very close to me. Within my purview, without my seeing it. Otherwise you'd have to say that. Like we say this room. Then we say that room. We don't know what that room. Which one are you talking about? But when you say this room, it is very clear. This room. So the word ayam means this. So when you say ayam Brahma Atma, in Mandukya it says this, number 7. Ayam Atma Brahma. So that means this is Ishvara, and Brahman is right in front of me. And it is in front of me. What is right in front of me? I am discarding. Why am I discarding? Because I don't know how. I'm mislabeling it. Mislabeling it. What is Ishvara? I am calling it as non-Ishvara. This is just Milpitas. I have this funny notion that Ishvara must be some kind of a lighted person. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. All I know is that all I'm seeing is nothing but Milpitas. I don't see any Ishvara in here. So this is what is called Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma. So Sakshat means, so it's very interesting, both these words I'm just bringing it here just as a quick reference, and then we'll have to study it some other time. So the word Sakshat Parokshat means this. direct. Because that is not sakshat. When I say that room, we were just discussing before the class began that there is a discussion going on that we are going to move to another part of this building, which is really true. That's hopefully that will happen. I don't know yet. So, but we have no idea where we are moving. I have to describe that to you. It's on that corner. Even I have not really seen. We are arranging for a tour of it. So this is not sakshat. This is asakshat. Means that it has to be interpreted. Some words have to be used to introduce it. But when I say this room, it is sakshat. So, Brahman is sakshat. Sakshat. I just have to understand why am I mislabeling it? What is my peculiar, what am I seeking? Why am I deciding that this is not Ishvara right here? Why? This I have to investigate. And so briefly, this is not a complete treatise, I'm just giving you a quick example. The word aparokshat. So aparokshat means it is me. Me as the Chaitanya Vastu. So look at this. Why both words are necessary? Just imagine this. This is a beautiful thing to see. Sakshat is necessary in order to make sure that it is very close to me. My entire experience in life, I have to see it as sakshat. But even sakshat is dismissible. Because if you move to another room, then this room is not this. This becomes that. And some other room becomes this. So the thisness of the room is vulnerable. It all depends on how long we are going to sit here and discuss it. As long as we go back to our car and we'll say, where were you? And say, I was in that room. And somebody will say, which room? You say, that one where the light is coming from. So it is no longer sakshat. But the Ishvara. And so in that sense, the sakshatness of this room is not satyam. It is not satyam. Why is it not satyam? Because it is subject to become non-satyam. It happens to be satyam at the moment, but it can easily disappear. But the word aparokshat means that it is satyam. And so now if we combine these two words, you get a little glimpse of it. Why? Because there is no possibility of you never being there. No possibility. That is the definition of satyam. In fact, after that, you can dismiss the sakshat. Because satyam jnanam anantam by itself is the swarupa. Is no longer the svabhava. So Ishvara and The problem is that we don't completely accept it because even though it is true, when I look at it as me, I am surrounding myself with my upadhi, me as a person. That's not what we mean. Through the Bhagatyaga Lakshana, when we say an identity, we mean really the same consciousness, the same conscious person that Ishvara is. In fact, there is nothing but Ishvara. And in fact, this is exactly how I mislabel it. I am mislabeling space as this space which is now included within this walls, kind of like that. I make a mistake. So this is the Bhagatyaga Lakshana. And in fact, as I mentioned, I think in some of the other classes, it's a very beautiful thing to see, very important thing to see. That all the things that I see, whether they are sakshat or not, subject to becoming sakshat or subject to becoming asakshat, whatever, being this or that, is powered by me, is made possible by me. And so there we will pursue this in more detail and perhaps in some other more advanced classes. That really speaking, the isness, the satyam, is only one satyam, which is Ishvara, and which I am. Because I am Satyam. Why am I Satyam? Because, think about it, you'll never disappear. In all your experiences, you are there. The room may not be there, the room may be there, we don't know. But you are there. You as a conscious person are always there. And that conscious person is Ishvara. That is Brahman. In fact, we should just switch over to Brahman rather than Ishvara, because even by saying Ishvara, you have a form, Saguna comes in. So Brahman. So really speaking, Brahman is the one that lights up all of my experiences. And all of your existence is in terms of experiences. And you need Brahman or the Atma to light up all your experiences. So how can you say that Ishvara is not there, Brahman is not there? All my experiences, whether it is me or not me, whether it is this room or that room, is all blessed and powered by Atma. So to say that I don't know where Ishvara is, which is to say I don't know, I'm pretty sure he's not here, is totally erroneous. It's just that I don't understand what Ishvara means, what Brahman means. Sakshat aparokshat Brahman. So this thought will be carried forth in the next few verses. In fact, I think we have still some time. So let's continue on with it. Let's see if there's anything else that in 43 that I wanted to So here, one thing that is pointed out by Swami Maheshananji is that a introduction to Brahman, that there is something which is the basis of all the experiences and so on and so forth, by itself will not give me moksha. What will give me moksha is that I am that Brahman, which is the truth, but in my background, my vasanas, my understanding, and so on and so forth, I don't accept it. Don't accept it. And until it's not a question of accepting it, it's a question of understanding. Until I am clear that there is only one person in the whole creation, which is Brahman, and I am non-different from it, independent of all of my experiences, Satyam. But I think it will be very interesting. This is also yukti in a way. It is both the knowledge as well as yukti. Just think about it. That there is no object in the world except me, which is Satyam. Nothing. There's only one person, which is me, which is Satyam. Even from your experiences, and we are all the same. What's happening here? Am I doing something?
No.
So, each one of us can say me. It's the same me. And devoid of all the upadhis. Don't think of yourself as a jiva, but as me. That me is alone Satyam. Like, we are like kind of like waves of the same ocean. And so when you say me, as if wave number one says me, you mean the same water as I say me. It's the same Brahman. So this is the thing that we have to see. Now, Vidyaranyaji, having introduced this Mahavakya, which is Tattvamasi, which is beyond yukti. Because really speaking, even though we give examples about the room space and so on and so forth, it is so amazing that despite that, I don't accept it. And so I have to completely let go of any reservations and understand this as knowledge, and then just see the implications of it and keep it with enthusiasm. So having introduced this Mahavakya, he very briefly, of course this is a much more detailed topic which we took it up in this text that we taught, Vakya Vritti, some time ago. And so we will take it up again in different ways. But briefly, Swami Vidyaranya now looks at the two sides of the equation. Tattvamasi, the two sides of the equation, one side is Ishvara, the other side is the Jiva. So he describes what is Tat and what is Tvam in the next few verses that we will see. So for example, in the verse number 44, He says, Jagato yad upadanam mayam adaya tamasim nimittam shuddha sattvam tam uchyate brahma tat gira. Tat gira means that the word tat, one which is known as gira here, means the one which is counted, one which is cited as tat, means the following. So he does that. And then in the next 45 he will say, Yada malina sattvam tam kama karmadi dushitam adatte tat param brahma tvam padena tada uchyate. So then he defines the tat pada and tvam pada. And then mahavyakyena, akhandams, etc. So we'll continue with the explanation. So now, essentially, so if you remember, someplace else also we had said, we'll close with that, is that there are three filters that we should use to purify my understanding. And I don't know if anybody can even cite what those three are. Shruti, Yukti and Anubhava. Exactly, thank you. So Yukti has been done before. And what is the Yukti? That the Jagrata Avastha is different from Sapna Avastha. That Annamaya Kosha is different from this. And the Turiya, which is the base, this is the Yukti. But the Yukti is given, when Yukti is given, I look at it as sort of like interesting logic. But how does it apply to me? That is given by Mahavakya. So Mahavakya is the Shruti. And all these other things are Yukti. All of them pointing to the same. And Anubhava means, by lots of different work, I have to make it real in my life. So that is a long topic and with a long tail. So we will spend a lot of time, perhaps not in this. I think we'll do some in this course also, but in other courses. But so these two, we are transitioning from Yukti to Shruti at this point in time. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Yeah, Zarina?
I have a question. You said that Atma is where both the upadhis of the Jiva and the Ishvara reside.
Yeah.
That's so I understand the upadhi of the Jiva, but is the upadhi of Ishvara, do you mean by Maya?
Number 44.
Okay.
That's exactly what we're going to discuss. Thank you. Yeah, just hold on for that. Yes. The long explanation of that. There's different aspects of it. And correctly, that is basically is correct. It is Maya, but in what form and what will be discussed next. Yeah. Yeah.
So today was a heavy emphasis day on the Dhira, and I am going through it. And I always thought our journey was on autopilot. All we had to do was just watch where we are going and with discrimination. But the way you sounded today, it's all self-driving. It's all, the onus is on us where we are heading towards every moment, and watch where you are going. If we are directing our own journey, what do we need Ishvara for?
You need Ishvara for telling you what the journey is. So the very Shruti is there. Also, Ishvara is important because you will not give up your false identity as a jiva until your alternate identity as a Ishvara is made available to you. You don't give up anything. You only give up something for something else.
Okay.
So when you give up something, it means to what? What am I remaining with? So this is the problem because we actually, it's kind of like you, every time you have to argue something that I am this, I am that, you are actually strengthening the jivatva. And which is a false, because jiva is also a copy of Ishvara. It is a reflection of the Ishvara. But we have taken that reflection to be ourselves as the real one. And we can give up all the other things, but I cannot give up myself because I don't know what else I will be. I don't want to disappear. So the Ishvara is important because the qualities of Ishvara, the gunas of Ishvara, which is sarvakvapikatvam, ajam, and mrityujaya, all of those qualities are the ones that I should know, so I have easily given up my identity as a jiva. For that reason also.
But somehow we got to this point through this non-stop evolution process, right? I was not watching my previous 1 million lives, whether I am heading in the right direction or not.
Yeah.
But somehow I got to this point where I found a teacher like yourself,
Yeah.
who is showing me the way, and I have no doubt Ishvara will provide me teacher like you until I get there.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a automatic process for me.
Well, it's you think it's automatic, but it's factually your own. You have put yourself in the right place at the right time, and so this is a part of your prarabdha karma that has come up to this point. But the journey is not complete.
No way, right? No means.
So it's not complete. So whether you call it autopilot or your self-driving and all of those kind of things, that evolution, which is a individual. That's the word I was looking for. Individual evolution. You have to keep on this direction until the end is reached. And so, yes, you are on the right direction, but we haven't reached there yet. And how do we know that we haven't reached there? Because we are still affected by sukha dukkha, health or problems and so on.
Yeah.
The promise is that you will be completely rid of it. Atma cannot have any sukha dukkha. That is the goal. And so whatever has brought you to this Ishvara has brought you with your own karmas and so on and so forth, needs to be continued on in that manner. Yeah.
When you said my experiences are sakshat, but dismissible, what that means? How can I dismiss?
How can I dismiss what?
The experiences why experience?
No, there the sakshat sakshat also is a conditional thing because this is not that. And this can become that.
Okay.
Yeah, so from that perspective. But aparokshat cannot be compromised.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So sakshat in that means is simply a step in the direction of aparokshat. Yeah. There's a section in the Pancadasi which Swami Vidyaranya has taken up, absolutely remarkable. And it consists of, in the 6th or 7th chapter, I think the 7th chapter, I'm studying the 7th chapter, it takes the example of the 10th man example and reveals the steps involved in such a beautiful way. We have to take that up sometime. This is what I'm thinking, that one of these days, I don't know when, we will not make an attempt to do the whole text, but just to do sections of it and just focus on it for a shorter amount of time. And in how, in what classes, and so on and so forth. But basically we are not equipped yet to fully analyze. So until we become adept at tackling the doubts of our own mind through combination of logic and explanation, we cannot really accept our limitations to be not myself. And so that process has to be accelerated by building the base. All this is really building, but there is more to do. It's very beautiful things to see. So I'm discovering. I tell you, it's just joy. Joy to see the insight of the Mahatmas, that you get a glimpse of it and you feel blessed. Yes, this is correct. This part of that is correct. Even though you don't see the whole thing, but even seeing glimpses of it is a very beautiful thing to see. All right, we will see you next week.
I sent you the text one time and I completely forgot. Swami Paramatmananda is, I'm not getting really good feedback as far as going to the retreat, to India trip.
Yeah.
So unless we are about 10,
You may
15
have to
people,
give it up. It's okay. It doesn't look like.
doesn't
My
look like
sense
it
is that-
because we need to make the arrangements,
Yeah.
now. So,
Yeah, I think that.
but unless I haven't reached out to the whole class, so
Yeah.
I think one more time,
But I think
maybe
the
Saturday
people
if we can.
that you called, if they are not going to go, then chances are
Well, I and Zarina are ready.
we may
You know.
need more time, maybe next year or something like that. We should not give it up.
Yeah, because he was,
This is where the major road
we
is.
made him